I've literally only driven maybe like 20 minutes from Herkimer, and I passed 2 other places. I was like, I should probably stop there, but I've already made a couple of these today, stopped a couple of places. I want to get to my next Airbnb, but I just had to stop again. And literally what's going on here, guys, is there's Wall Kingdom, Wall Kingdom, Wall Kingdom. I don't know how to say that. Figure it out later. Still in New York, like I said, just a few minutes away from where I was just at in Herkimer. This is a school, yo. Early 1800s school. This is all. Yo, that is like, look. Guy just set off my car alarm. Hold on. My car alarm is super sensitive, so if a loud motorcycle goes by, it sets it off. Check it out. I don't know, but look. I mean, that's a really weak swing. It's just a little tap, but you get the idea. Welcome, zombies. Today we're checking out Canajoharie, New York, looking at some leftovers of previous advanced, prosperous civilizations here in these lands. Please remember to share these videos with other zombies, and I recommend, and please do, watch these videos in order. Go back to the oldest one, the first one that I uploaded, and then just watch them in order up until here. And also I've organized these videos into individual playlists according to state. So you can click into whatever playlist of whatever state and all the different videos that I've made in that state if you want to view them that way. So we jump up into my blimp. We can get this little aerial view shot, show you where we're at right here. We're in upstate New York. We're looking at this little area right here of Canajoharie. See right here is the Mohawk River. And just to the east over here, we've got Albany. And then up over here, Herkimer, which I covered in the last video. Definitely go back and give that one a watch. And as you can see here, Canajoharie is a small little town. Not very big, seemingly not too much going on here. So I thought we'd start with this little tidbit here. Canajoharie, an important village of the Mohawk Nation, also became known as the Upper Castle. Castle. Why is it called a castle? The Mohawk Nation, by the way, was part of the Iroquois Confederacy, which I've talked about in previous videos. And it says right here that, like I talked about previously also, were allied with the British during the Revolutionary War. They were forced to cede most of their lands in New York to the United States after its victory. The state then sold millions of acres of land to speculators and private homeowners. So conquerors came in, copped all the land, and then sold it to their buddies. And they've been controlling this land and these territories and the stories associated with what these lands were and are now up until this date. And per usual with basically all of these historical, nationally registered historical sites that I'm making these videos on, floods and fires. The town of Canajoharie was consumed by fire twice, causing an ordinance to be passed prohibiting homes to be constructed of wood. I love this tidbit of information. Because if you've been watching these videos, you know rock, 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 rock. These are all massive, impressive rock structures, and the wood cabin narrative is basically a big old false one. And right here it says that, okay, because 2 fires, then they prohibited homes from being constructed of wood. Therefore, many of the older homes in town are made of brick or locally quarried stone. So in my opinion, this is just the excuse they're given for why everything here is such massive, impressive rock structure. It's because there were 2 fires, so they banned wood. Amazing how quickly these people were able to switch from building wood cabins to castles, rock castles. And nowadays, we can't even build these castles because we build with wood, and wood's even super expensive right now. Basically everybody has to go into hundreds, thousands of dollars of debt just to be able to buy some wood home. But back then, they were able to switch from wood cabins to castles, rock castles, like that. And then I just thought I'd also point out here on the Mohawk Upper Castle Historic District wiki page. Let's just look how many times castles mentioned. Indian Castle Church, Upper Castle, Lower Castle. This one's my favorite right here though. The Mohawk concentrated their town life in villages known as castles. Ooh, what do you know? They just must have liked to call their teepees castles back then, right? These teepee, the Iroquois teepee confederacy that these new conquerors wanted all their land and property is because of the teepees, not because of castles. But let's still call them castles nowadays. That makes sense. And it says that Lower Castle was another fortified Mohawk village, fortified with wood and teepees, not castles and rock, known as, I don't know how to say that, but look at that picture. Ancient, what do they call it? Viaducts. Look at that. Near the confluence of Canajoharie Creek, the Canajoharie Crossing State Historic Site. All right, let's take a look at that. So the Canajoharie Crossing State Historic Site, also known as Erie Canal National Historic Land. I talked about Erie Canal more extensively in the beginning videos of the New York videos. Definitely worth checking that out. Wow, is the Erie Canal just so impressive. And there, long before we got there. But this is a historic district that includes the ruins of the Erie Canal Aqueduct, which is a 3.5 mile long part of the Erie Canal. And then we'll also see right here the Ticonderoga and Fort Hunter, another fort. And so they're gonna tell us wood was banned. Anyways, this is a drawing of wood when these forts were rock castle fortresses. Over and over and over again here in New York. The forts were castle fortresses, rock fortresses, not little wood, not wood fences. And here's just a few pictures. So here's the Erie Canal Aqueduct. I think I said viaduct earlier. This is the aqueduct. That's very ancient right there. That's old world built that, not new world Cowboys. And then this is actually what originally caught my eye and why I stopped in Canajoharie. And as usual, I'll show you guys the pictures and the videos I got there actually exploring the city. But this school is not a school. This is an old fortress. Ancient rock castle fortress. And let's just see, because remember there are a couple fires, so they banned wood, started building everything out of rock. Like, wow, amazing. They can do that. Like, they went from cabins to master masons instantly, apparently. Because this bad guy, let's see, they're saying built 1891 to 1893. 2 years, less than 2 years. We'll come back to this, and I'll show you more of this building, but come on. We can't even build our wood cabins in that quickly. But they did it back then in 1891. And then I just started poking around, doing a little bit of castle research, that sort of thing. And I found this Bolt Castle in New York. Now, this is not in the same area. It's in New York, but not in the same area. I'll show you right here. So we're more up north now. So right in here is where Canajoharie is at. And now we're up here almost into Canada, basically. But there's this Bolt Castle and Yacht House. Check this out. And I'm just seeing this now. Another castle, Singer Castle. Okay, so I guess there's a couple of these bad boys just floating on that river. This is a different one. I haven't looked in this one, but I'll leave you guys to explore the Singer Castle. But the Bolt Castle, we're here on the Bolt Castle wiki page, originally a private mansion built by American millionaire George Bolt, one of the largest private homes in the United States. We'll talk more about this in a second, but construction started in 1900 and then stopped in 1904. So apparently it wasn't even completed. Right here it says, in 1900, this millionaire dude launched an ambitious construction campaign to build a huge masonry structure, one of the largest, okay, that's what I just read. Hundreds of workers for a 6-story castle. It's not a castle, but let's just call it that because it kind of looks like it. But the construction was never completed because the construction ceased abruptly in 1904 after his wife died. And for 73 years, the castle and other stone structures were left exposed to the harsh winter weather and occasional vandals. Now, just like we saw with their excuse for why these structures, because of fires, so they banned wood, this is their excuse for how old these look, because they're super old. They're just blaming it on it being abandoned. So this dude, crazy money, built this thing, started to build it, and then abandoned it for 73 years. And in those 73 years of harsh winter weather and occasional vandals, it ended up looking like this. 73 years. No, this is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds or thousands of years of weathering and decay of a prior fully built ancient massive rock castle fortress. And this right here is just one of the towers. They call this the Ulster Tower. And this looks exactly like in my last video when I covered Herkheimer. I also covered Karlstadt, Germany, because that's where people immigrated from to the Herkheimer area. And as part of that group of people were the kings of Karlstadt, which were apparently Heinz Ketchup, and Donald Trump, president of USA. So anyways, go back for more info on that. But this was the tower that I found in just some of that research. Look at this, okay? And that looks very similar, right? But this is obviously much older, much more weathered. Here's a look at Bolt Castle as it looks right now, a newer picture. And like there's a few different sections of the Bolt Castle, right? We got this, I guess, which is kind of the main area. And then this is apparently the powerhouse where that generated electricity and stuff for him. And again, just look how old this is, guys, and how amazing of an ancient rock castle structure this is. Arches, towers, huge windows, sitting in water. Amazing. And then here's an aerial view of it just to see how crazy this is. So there's the main piece. Here's, I guess, that tower. Over here's the powerhouse, as they call it. And then over here is the yacht house, which we'll also take a look at. And I imagine this is, we're seeing a lot of it buried right here, underwater in this case. Here's another, like they call this the entry arch, but just another remnant of the original structure. Super, super old and so strong and durable. 73 years did not do the damage that we're seeing on these things. Thousands of years probably it took to do the damage that we're seeing on here. And then as usual, as we see on these old ancient rock structures that super wealthy dudes built and abandoned, then just gifted them. It says here, the Thousand Island Bridge Authority acquired Hart Island and nearby yacht house for $1. Under the agreement that all revenues obtained from the castle operation would be applied towards restoration. And that's the same story as a castle that I visited in Omaha, Nebraska. And so many of these historical structures, guys, where it's just like a fund is set up where like it was donated for free, which no, it was conquered, and so that's how they got it for free. And then, but the story is, oh yeah, some millionaire donated it for free, and then now the state or whatever just gets to own it and make money off of it for the rest of the time. And right here it says it was nearly destroyed by a fire in the 1930s. Guys, zombies. Fire doesn't destroy this. It'll just char it a little bit. Like, just think of a brick oven. There's a fire that you cook your pizzas. Is the fire destroying that brick oven? Fires don't destroy castles. It could burn up like whatever, some materials inside the castle or out, but the actual rock, the actual structure, fire just doesn't burn down a rock castle. Here's a couple other quick looks at the castle. This one's kind of blurry, but there's that. Here's a look at the yacht house, an old postcard, I guess. Pretty cool. Again, just another amazing structure right here. And these, kind of blurry, but these are big doors that opened up to let the yachts in. Here's another look at it. Here's another angle of what I believe is the powerhouse. But again, this is all, we're just seeing the tippity top of whatever this huge structure actually used to be. So now before we dive into the exploration I did of the city, I thought we'd check out some oldies but goodies. They called this one the pot that washes itself. This one is, okay, yeah, this is super blurry. I wish this image was better, but you can see these structures, as I've shown in so many other images, amazing rock structures just sitting there surrounded by death and dirt roads, like just like not much going on, bunch of dirt. If you're building this much incredible rock structure, you can absolutely pave a road, and you're not doing it on dirt roads. This is just another image of close to how it was found. You know, I think maybe some of these lines here, or maybe some of the dirt roads they've created, but these buildings right here were just already sitting here in dirt. And I think in lots of cases, they built these types of waterfalls. And then here's another fountain in Canajoharie, just absolutely beautiful ancient fountains and gardens, and again, just absolutely demolishing the story that we've been told of they didn't know how to flush their poop and all that. Like, the people who built this didn't know how to flush their poop. The real story is the people who built all this absolutely did. They knew how to do all sorts of amazing architecture and engineering and water. But the new people that showed up after this all got buried, yeah, maybe they didn't know exactly how to do all that stuff. Here's Hotel Wagner and the post office. Here's another look at Hotel Wagner, just another piece of a castle. This is a church, St. Mark's Lutheran Church. They called this one the Stone Arabia Church. Very cool. Very cool rock. See the arches over the windows, that perfectly angled triangle right there. I guess the date they're trying to give on this one's 1788, and you know, it's got the tower, little dome on top, leftovers of an old fortress. We've seen these in different places. I like to show the one in St. Louis, Missouri, because I stayed in an Airbnb in it basically, and I walked around it and just was amazed. I was like, this isn't, like, what was this actually? This is such an amazing building. And then I started looking up images online. I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that's just, why has all this architecture everywhere, massive castle, fortress, kingdom, just been getting destroyed everywhere? Because it used to be so amazing. And for whatever it's worth, just to paint, because I know it's, you know, we see the remnants and like what's actually kind of closer to the full scale, the full size of these things in their original state. And I honestly think it's much closer to something like this. And we're just seeing little leftovers from just really, really big, like the type of stuff that we think is fantasy, like that we've been shown in sci-fi and fantasy. Like, no, that's actually much, much closer to the truth. Here's a little look at some of the footage I got exploring Canajoharie. So this rock wall right here was obviously very old, very cool to see. And that sat right on the exterior of, it's a school, guys. How dare you think this is anything other than a school? And they've obviously got, I don't know what they've done with this little piece up here, thrown something over it. That doesn't look good, but you know, just the whole, it looks like the whole roof got busted and they had to cover it up or something. Like this piece up here is super busted, but wow, what an amazing piece of a castle just sticking up. And it's got this sign sitting out front right here, 1824. How did they build that in 1824? Switching from cabins to that because of a couple fires? Yo, like for real, this would be extremely difficult to build right now. I mean, it could be done. I'd say we probably have the skill sets to do something like this, but the money, like no one's putting money behind that now to build something like that. And even if someone did want to build that style, I guarantee you most builders would be like, well, let's use steel framing and then just facade the outside. When this is all rock, like thick several feet thick of rock walls. You see another little rock structure over there in the distance with a big old steeple on it. And you see the windows down here just going straight into the ground, likely just as tall as these ones that we see up here at the top. And I mean, that's full-blown castle architecture right there. The original builders of this rock, I've said this before in other videos, they didn't throw up these rinky-dink fire escapes on the side of their buildings. That's what we did. Like, we showed up to these buildings and we needed a quick way to get in and out of them or whatever. And so we put up some rinky-dink stairs. And so we saw that steeple out over there in the distance, but then there's also this other building right there with the silver dome on it. Look how tall that steeple is. And then, yeah, these shops down here are just, so these shops, that's castle wall right there, facaded, and we've turned it into stores. From the side here, you can see, I mean, look how tall these stories are right here. And it's all perfectly heavy, super, super durable laid rock. And look, I mean, this is like the power lines, us, the dinky stairs, us, the plastic banners, us, but the perfectly laid arches and rock and walls, towers, not us. Not aliens either, just ancient humans that built better, that we've been lied to about. That doorway right there, pretty sure that's just a window. I don't think that's a door. We turned it into a door, but I'm pretty sure that's just a window. Same with this main entrance up here, probably just a window. And then right here, you can see like this, I think they try and call this stuff like mountain or nature built this, but you can clearly see like big blocks, super straight lines, and it leads right to this castle. Okay, so that's the old castle wall right there. It's just an old castle wall. Simple as that. Same with this right over here on the right that I pointed out earlier. Just leftovers of this castle. It's been, I think we've literally flooded up to where we've paved our roads now, and we're driving through the top of this castle. Like all this whole thing, Canajoharie is just all one big castle with little remnants of it poking up, and then we're just cruising around through it. It's exactly what we're driving through right here. Just on our sides right here, old ancient castle wall structure. And then here's I think it's a church that I found, but again, you can clearly see, like, look at the tower on this thing. And the brickwork. Bells in there. Tower. Castle tower. And if you look at the bottom of it here, you know, imagine that's another buried window, buried window, buried window. We've just paved right up to it. Look at this thing, such a beast. And if we pan over, we've got this white building, which is a brick building that they've just painted white. And this is the that Beechnut packing company, that big factory. This is part of it that's left over right here. Given the date of 1905 on it, way older. Fortunately, I couldn't really get any closer. As you can see, they've got it very blocked off. And right here you can see, oh, truck came by quick. But yeah, right there you can see it's exposed. It's just a brick building. They just painted it white. Same thing they've done with all the buildings, ancient buildings I've been looking at here in California. Like, this is still East Coast, but a lot of the East Coast is white siding. Like, they throw siding all over the building, painted white. But this, they just painted like straight on top of the brick, all white. Here in California, that's happening. Also, they'll do like some plaster on top of the brick and then paint the plaster white, but they really like to just paint things white. I think because white, you know, a clean white looks new, but when the brick's looking like it's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years old, people might start to question that. But paint it white, it's easy to make it look new and throw a newer date on it. And then this was really interesting right here, like this row of houses leading up to this building that's got the silver dome top on it. Like, this is like white siding. That's what I mean by white siding. This is a pure rock structure, all this. They just thrown siding and wood on top of it. And look at this, super, super cool. I don't know if they call it a church or not, but that tower with the silver, church, tower with the silver dome on it. Like, look how cool this is. All of this, so sick. This is such amazing architecture. And this thing just, gosh, this one blew my mind. Look at that. Lost track of time for a second and only had that room reserved for a little bit. So we'll just finish this up outside with the silver dome on top of this tower right here. They've got white siding on that tower. I'm sure it's just a rock tower though. And these super, super tall stained glass windows. So gorgeous. Here's a close-up look at this rock. I wish you guys could reach out and slap your hand on it and just feel how heavy and solid it actually is, and just see how perfectly stacked everything is. And yeah, that's not a door, that's just a window we busted out and turned into a door to get into the top of this building. And then here's right across the street, right in front of it, another castle remnant with really, really interesting, cool rock work. And then another one diagonal to that one, kitty corner to that one, which is that huge steeple that we saw from over at the school. And back to this church here, the arches over these windows just stripped of whatever was originally there. And I'll try and put up some photos of, you know, I don't know exactly what obviously was on every building, but I'll try and throw up some photos of some other buildings that still have some decoration left on them, which is similar to the types of things, you know, we see that have been stripped off of a lot of these buildings, most of them. Just yesterday I was in downtown LA, and downtown LA has still some of the best decoration still on buildings that I've seen so far. That thing's huge, look at that. We don't even build a lot of buildings that tall, you know, and that's just the steeple on it. On the exterior perimeter of this colorful rock castle are these big blocks just kind of laid out around the perimeter. I don't know what that's about, why like that, but I think that's interesting. Super, I mean, go try and pick one of these up. Go pick one of these up and put it on a wood wagon. Go pick 10 of those up and put it on a wood wagon, see what happens. All right, now you need millions of those to build all this stuff we're seeing. These wires running in front of everything. What a shame. On the wood poles and sloppy wires running everywhere, making everything look ugly. We did that. The people who built these rock buildings didn't do that. They used their towers and their domes for power and electricity and energy wirelessly. I mean, look at this. I can't even get like a clean shot of the front of it without having all these electric cables running through the shot. Yeah, when we look to the side down here, you can see how much down further it goes. And it's a much taller. It's tall as it stands to us right now, but in its original state, way taller, which makes this top piece even more impressive. You know, all this heavy rock that high up. But they, just to remind you guys, they only built like this because there were a couple fires and they banned wood. So then they built this stuff that looks exactly like ancient castles. Here's another look at these stones that they've lined up around the perimeter. I don't think these were here naturally. I think these have been placed here just to kind of show, you know, how big and bulky the original stone that was used to build these types of buildings actually is. Here's another look at the remnants of that packing co. Oh yeah, and this chimney on it right here. I think I get a better shot of it. And I say chimney, I don't know if that's actually a chimney or not, but I don't really have a better word to describe it. Tower, some sort of tower. Yeah, right there, that's not bad. You can see that design that's right there. Everything around it just painted white. And that's gonna be it for Canajoharie. Amazing, right? To go from cabins to building all that rock, that's intense. I know I joke around about the blimp stuff, but it's not really. I'm just trying to point your attention to, I believe there was plenty of air travel in our past as well. Of course, I mean, these people are building those castles, building these waterways and canals and fountains, and what, they haven't figured out how to do stuff in the air as well, of course. And in my research into some aircraft, some airship, I mean, that's another thing, is ships aren't just on the sea, they're in the air. Airships sail the sky. So I was just looking into some old depictions of some old aircraft, some old airship, and there's stuff like this, which is really cool, really interesting. I personally think this is actually very real, and you guys should go look at this Frank Reed library, all the different images in there. They're really interesting, and it's also interesting that it's you know, this is entered according to the Act of Congress in 1893 into the office of the Librarian of Congress at Washington, D.C. This is an electric airboat. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this stuff's real. Electric airboats, airships, lots of air travel. And when you read in the Bible, it talks about it. It says they took ships from place to place. I think, honestly, massive castles, massive kingdoms, better vehicles, including electric airships.